Welcome to BREADCAST. I'm American Johnson.
I'm Lunan.
And we are alone in the studio. You might hear the soothing sound of the torrential rain. And if the stream is cut off abruptly, you will know it's because power was lost and our UPS, which we ordered
2 months ago, right?
2 months ago, is still stuck in customs.
Yes, stuck in customs. Can you believe that?
And the funny thing is, we are, it is not clickbait, we are taking a hiatus for a while. And it'll probably arrive like shortly after we stop streaming for quite a while.
Yep.
So that's just our luck here at BREADCAST. Yes, I will cut right to the chase as far as the hiatus goes. We're not shutting down permanently. We will be back. We don't know exactly when. And we have plans for holdover content to keep your brains, eyeballs, and ears satisfied. In the interim, we hope that we will. What we're thinking about doing is, let me back up. The reason we're going on a hiatus and chat as people trickle in and gnash their teeth and scream in agonies of woe. Can it be that BREADCAST is over? We encourage you to help explain to them what you're hearing right now, so we don't have to continuously repeat ourselves throughout the stream. But basically, so what's going on is I'm going to be traveling for a couple of months, and Luna may also have to travel a little bit. She might visit her hometown, a few other things, we don't know. So a lot of things are up in the air right now, and we have just a lot going on. But we also want
to focus on
the book. So okay. Speaking of the book, I was gonna do a little rant, not a rant, I guess a lecture.
Mm-hmm.
If you've read the book, Basic Curriculum of the Basic Principles of Marxism, Leninism, Dialectical Materialism, Philosophical Methodology book that Luna translated, that is a mouthful of a name, I gotta say. Anyway, if you have read the book, you'll know that we don't subscribe to the metaphysical liberal notion of cause and effect in the most simple terms that people typically in the West think of them. We believe in the dialectical materialist methodology of reasons and results. And there are many, many factors contributing to us taking a hiatus from BREADCAST. So,
pause.
Yes.
Can put that said, screen keeps freezing. Anyone else seeing choppy video from time to time?
Yeah, our internet sucks right now. My internet's pretty bad.
Mine is fine.
Okay, I don't know.
Weird.
We good?
We good.
All right, so there are multiple reasons dialectically interacting to force us to make the decision to go on break for a little while. One is the travel situation I talked about. Two is we want to focus on finishing the historical materialism book because it's very close to being finished.
Yep.
And we just want to get that out. And we want to continue making our videos. We're trying to get a regular output of our regular videos on our main channel. That is our main vehicle for everything. I mean, it's where we get most of our funding from people who support us on Patreon, and our Patreon and camaraderie supporters. When we've done surveys, they always say that their main priority is the scripted video content. Yeah. We don't have a huge audience here at BREADCAST. We care about y'all. We want to keep doing this. We have fun doing it. We want to keep doing it. But
absolutely, we have fun doing it.
But the priority has to be the scripted video essays. Yeah. And if we try to do all of that at the same time over the next couple of months, we just wouldn't
be overwhelmed.
Yeah, wouldn't be possible. It's just the two of us, really. Grant, of course, tries to help as he can, but he's got a lot going on in his end too. So anyway, that is... So Tubbo and Kill the Buddha have choppy video. I don't know. There's nothing we could really do about it. It's probably because of the internet. Hopefully it fixes itself.
Oh. The rain affect it? It's really, really hot out there.
Yeah.
Rain season.
Juliana says, I usually watch offline after the fact. See, my video on my browser keeps just like completely cutting out. The audio's okay there, right, folks? Is the audio okay?
Now mine is doing that too. Choppy.
Yeah. Nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of people do watch after the fact, but still not that many. I mean, we might get like 1,000 views collectively for each BREADCAST. So, and Luna's going to be also going on hiatus with Mooncast, just in case you're curious. She will have one last Mooncast this week, and then after that, we're going to have a break. So anyway, enjoy the. Just think of it as a nice, fun little game where you get to see what kind of funny faces we're making when we freeze. All right, so that's pretty much that. I don't know what else I can say about the hiatus. We're sad to be going, but we'll be back, and we'll be better than ever when we do return. Mm-hmm. For one thing, I will hammer out these internet problems we're having. Because it's not because of our connection. It's got to do with StreamYard or something.
I think so.
I'm doing, I'm running I just ran a speed test, and we have a very, very, very fast internet connection.
I don't know. I think
StreamYard's got a problem. And we just paid our bill for that, and it was very high. So I might need to contact them and say,
give my money back.
Yeah. We might need a new platform. I don't know. I guess I can go look at it for a second. Luna, why don't you talk about something for a minute? I'll just go see if there's anything I can adjust.
I will try to tell a story.
Yes.
Even though I don't have anything else to say.
Good idea.
All right. Folks, Kai said, I will prepare a bread talk to celebrate your return. Audio is good at least. Okay, this visual stuttering. I see. What is my connection speed in our connection speed in Vietnam? It depends on the package that you choose, but usually, how fast is our speed, babe?
Oh my God, it's blazing fast.
The internet that we are having now is the best that we ever had in our life.
Yeah.
Which is
fiber.
It's fiber cable. Yeah, we chose the highest quality we can choose because this is our job. So we cannot have just a normal, medium kind of quality kind. We chose the best, and it costs us around $10 a month. That's the highest quality fiber. And
you don't remember how many megabytes it is?
I don't.
All right, well, it's a lot.
It's a lot.
You get like
over
20 megabyte upload speed usually. But not today. I don't know what's going on with freaking StreamYard.
Yeah. I'm doing the test right now to see.
I could try refreshing this browser. I don't know if that'll fix it.
Okay, I'm testing the internet right now. Yeah.
Should I refresh it?
Oh.
Luna, should I refresh it?
I don't know because your computer takes 30 minutes to be normal.
Refresh the browser, Luna.
Oh, refresh it.
So you gotta tell them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we will refresh them. It's running at, 125 megabytes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's super freaking fast.
Yeah, it's super freaking fast. It's just problem.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going to refresh the browser,
yes.
So tell them.
125 megabytes per second. So each is going to refresh the StreamYard now because it must be that problem.
So they need to know. We'll be right back in a second.
Be back in a second.
Okay, maybe that fixed it. I don't know.
All right. Hopefully.
It's got to be StreamYard. It's got to be. There's no other solution because, yeah, I'm getting super fast connections and everything else.
Okay, it's better now. There's no choppy anymore, at least on my end. I think it's fine.
Oh, goodness gracious. See, it's always something.
Oh.
StreamYard, YouTube, everything. So, anyway, yeah, we get something like 100, 150 megabytes upload speed.
Upload.
And that's because we got fiber.
Yeah.
Baby.
Download could be a few gigabytes.
Yeah. No. Per second? No. Gigabytes per second?
Oh, that's a lot.
What do you...
Oh, remember when
We're from the future.
When we downloaded those 4K movies?
It was very fast. It was not gigabytes per second, though.
All right.
All right.
So I think that's a StreamYard. That's what it does.
It's got to be StreamYard. Anyway, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Now, especially if it's working now. So we're going to move
Kai
forward.
said that they might hear the rain sound sometimes. Like, okay.
That's okay. It's hopefully it's relaxing.
Okay,
all right.
it's soothing.
Man, I don't like starting every show talking about all of our technical problems, and it's like what annoys me is that it's always something different. You know, it's always something different. All right. So anyway, hopefully everything's smooth sailing from here on. We will see. Let's reset. All right. So so this is our last show for a while. Long story short, TLDR. But yeah, case in point, we have 30 people watching right now. So it's like, we got to focus on the scripted content. All right, let's see. So let's see. Oh man, you got to be kidding me.
What? You lost it?
No, I was going to read this article and I'm paywalled even though I have a subscription to New York Times. It's like, I'm so tired of it all.
They don't even recognize their own.
Well, I'm not logged in and it's okay. It's fine. It's just, all right. It'll be nice to take a break from live streaming for a while. If I'm honest, I'm kind of burning out a little bit too. Because
Exactly.
It's just a lot to
here's
keep
the
track
thing too.
of.
I think that I know we kind of started thinking about, I don't know about you, but on my end, I started thinking about taking a break about the last 2 weeks.
Hey, you know what? I don't feel bad about taking a break. You know why? Because if I may brag a little bit, non-humble brag. This is a non-humble brag. This is just a brag. It's something that I'm proud of, okay? If we might have technical difficulties all the time. We might not have a huge audience. And yeah, there's a lot of, it's not a perfect show, but we have been consistent.
Yeah.
We started this show almost 5 years
2018.
ago. Maybe 5 years ago.
18.
Yeah. And we probably, I was thinking about this. I haven't done the actual numbers, but I think we could count on one or two hands the number of times we've missed a breadcast.
Very few.
One or the other of us
rare.
might miss one occasionally,
Yeah.
but we've kept the show going for about 5 years and almost never take a week off.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty proud of that. And I think that we've earned a little, it's like...
we do broadcasts like wherever we travel, which is a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even when I'm like in the USA or Luna's in her hometown or whatever, we always keep the show going. And we've persevered through it. And I think it's time for us to have a little break, relax a little bit. I mean, television shows in Hollywood, they get a break. They get like a season, they do the season format. Broadway musicals, they go dark every so often. I think it's time for us to go dark for a little while. I think it's okay. Anyway, I'm trying to get this dag blasted.
Deep Potato Chip said you just streamed from the attic
I did.
of like a chef for like 4 months. You deserve a break.
We did. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that this time while I'm in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't want to do that in my hometown too.
Oh my gosh, this keyboard is like deleting. See? What is up?
What in the world? I'm seeing it happening. What?
Absolutely bizarre.
Omega Hexer said, don't apologize for doing less broadcast celebrate because we're getting more main series video. Exactly.
That's the idea.
That's the idea. In the matter of like last 2 weeks, we trying to finish as many scripts as possible. We will try to record them all within a matter of few days and then try to edit them in the next few months. We have so many good scripts.
What are some of the videos we got coming out? Luna's got one on the Four No's foreign policy of Vietnam.
Debunking the Pew Research.
Oh, the debunking of the Pew Research one's going to be very good. The last episode of the Democratic Centralism video and the volunteer trip video, which is going to be a lot of editing.
A lot of editing.
But it'll be good.
And the book on top of everything.
And we're working on the book. Meanwhile, I've got a book coming out, a video coming out about aesthetics of fascism,
that's really good.
Works of art in the age of mechanical reproduction by Walter Benjamin. I'm going to do a video on that. I'm doing a video on Friedrich Flick, who was a Nazi who was convicted of war crimes at Nuremberg, only sentenced to 7 years, only served 3, and then was let out of prison by the Western Allied nations to manufacture cars, got all of his wealth back from the Western nations. The Soviet Union took 75% of his, like 100% of his assets that were in East Germany were seized by the communists and never returned.
Yeah.
The Western powers just put them in a cozy little jail cell for 3 years. I know I sound like a conservative when I say that, but it's true. They were in much better conditions than you would expect for a Nazi war crimes criminal. And then released and given a job, and within, like, I think 6 years, was once again the wealthiest person in Germany, and died a wealthy person and had no repercussions, basically, for literally committing war crimes, participating in genocide, and using slave labor in concentration camps to make a fortune. So I'm doing a video on that, and I think that's... Oh, and there's one more?
Oppenheimer.
There's a video on... Well, it's really about the Congo and imperialism in the Congo, but it has a lot to do with Oppenheimer and the Manhattan Project. So that's coming out. Those will all be coming out soon. That's what we got coming down the pipeline. In case you're curious and you want a little sneak preview. Wait, one more thing before we move on into the thing. I did want to make sure that if you want to stay abreast of our projects, and you usually get information from BREADCAST, and for instance, if we do, we were thinking about maybe in a month or two launching BREADCAST as a podcast.
Yeah,
it would be probably audio only, and it would be a lot easier to edit and keep.
Yeah.
You know, we wouldn't have to do it at exactly the same time every week. If we do that, we will probably post them here, I guess, on the live channel.
Yeah. Right.
Non-compete live. Luna might do the same with Mooncast. It's just going to depend on our schedules. But anyway, we will be announcing things like that on our Patreon and on our camaraderie. So if you're already subscribed to those, you're set, and you will know when those things happen. But if you don't have any money, which I understand if that's the case.
Yeah, we do too. We don't have any.
We're setting up a mailing list.
Yes.
So I'm going to put the links to those. There's going to be 2 mailing lists. There's going to be one for non-compete and one for Luna Oi.
Yeah.
So it's just non-compete.com/mail and lunaoi.com/mail. I know this is a little bit boomery, but you know, we don't really see, why didn't that?
It deleted.
Why is it
real
doing
fast?
That? I know, it's so annoying.
There's something like reset or something.
It's very freaking frustrating.
But you posted them both, so it's okay, babe.
No, the non-compete one's not showing up.
It's there. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I guess it was just I needed to... Oh my God. You see? Why would it do that? Why would it do that?
What kind of problem is this?
All right, non-compete.com/mail, lunaoi.com/mail. And we might email you. We don't know how long it'll be. But we'll also let you know when, like, the historical materialism video drops, stuff like that. We won't spam you.
Yeah, we won't spam you.
I wouldn't want to email you more than maybe once or twice a week. But anyway, and we certainly won't share your information with anybody. But that is a way to stay in touch with us if you're not already on our Patreon and our camaraderie. We also hope that if we take a break from streaming for a while, we can start getting in the swing of being more interactive with our Patreon and camaraderie, because we've been really out of the loop with y'all there as well.
I mean, Mark Levin said they have a lot of experience with podcasts, so they can help.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got your email, so we might hit you up with that if we decide, if and when we decide to do that. All right. Let's. I have a story. It has really nothing to do with much of anything except capitalism sucking. I mean, we could also, if we have time, we could talk about. We could watch a video about real estate, but let's just wait and see if, I don't know. So maybe we should hold this one off to the end, so then we can see how much time we have left at the end. Okay, so all right, I'm rearranging my schedule. Let's talk about police violence first. Okay, so, this is annoying. Everything's always annoying all the time.
There's a typo in lunaoi.com/mail. Thanks, CJ.
Well, you saw my keyboard malfunctioning.
My name is Luna I now.
Oh my God. Can you retype it properly? lunaoi.com.
Luna, it's funny.
Look, the whole weight of the world is on my shoulders.
Exactly.
You got the malfunctioning keyboard, EJ, but you gotta type it. I'm not gonna type it.
I know how to type it.
Lord have mercy. See, we're gonna kill each other if we keep streaming for too much longer. We need a break. All right. Police violence tracking, not something that the U.S. has ever traditionally been very good at, but some citizens have started doing it.
Okay.
Police have killed 827 people so far in 2023,
Wow.
with more than 3 people killed by police per day on average. And we can look at the map.
Imagine the same thing happened in Vietnam. A bunch of human rights organizations would jump in already and investigate.
Oh, you would be.
But since you say it's a normal day.
You would be like invaded by now. It's the double standard. All right, can you share the screen?
Right.
So this is the official Mapping Police Violence database. Now, from what I understand, this isn't even everything because the police are not good at tracking this kind of data on purpose, I would say.
Yeah.
But you can see here, this is going through and showing where all the police killings are across the USA. Police killed at least 1,201 people in 2022.
Wow.
Black people were 26% of those killed, but they're only 13% of the population. So literally double
Wow.
what you would expect if it was like a statistic, you know, a normal statistic distribution. And by the way, police killed more people in 2022 than in any year in the past decade, and they're on track now to kill even more in 2023.
There's no sign they will ever stop.
Black people are most likely to be killed by the police, 3 times as likely as white people to be killed, 1.3 times as likely as white people to be unarmed. In other words, when the police shoot white people, they are more likely to be, let me put it this way. This is hard to phrase this as a sentence. It's more likely for an unarmed black person to get killed by the police than an armed white person.
Yeah.
That's wild, you know? It says a lot. And it also pushes back against the many, many lies and misinformation out there about police killings and how, oh, they're not really racist. And, you know, these statistics do not lie. 95% of Americans' major city police departments kill black people at higher rates than white people. Mass killings by police begin with traffic stops, mental health checks, disturbances, nonviolent offenses, and where no crime was alleged. 1 in 3 killings begin with an alleged violent crime. So this is mostly the cops just going out and harassing people.
Yep.
And that's why I say all the time, I've never felt more safe anywhere than I do in Vietnam because we almost never see police. And when we do see police, they're almost never armed. The only time I've seen police that are armed in Vietnam is when there's like a diplomatic event or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're bringing in like a state leader or something from, you know, another country or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they might have some armed guards on the corner just when they're bringing the motorcade through and that sort of thing.
And mostly, I mean, even that, when Joe Biden came to Vietnam, they brought every single thing for themselves, even his own car, which is very funny.
Right. But in the USA, you have cops. I mean, you saw it, Luna. They're everywhere. They're swarming all over the place, constantly watching everyone. You want to talk about a police state? You want to talk about a surveillance state? And by the way, investment in drones and cameras going through the roof. And there's a.
I saw cops' cars, and I'm sorry if you think it's normal, but to me it was terrifying. I saw cop cars in front of me having, you know, like the fascist Nazi kind of symbol in their cars.
Which ones?
And it was, you know, the death.
The Punisher logo. Yeah.
And then the thin blue line flag.
Yeah.
It was like I was shocked.
It's like the black and white American flag with the blue line through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
you won't see that in Vietnam. You won't.
Of course not. And then the what was I going to say? Oh, so okay. This is another thing. You got to think about things comprehensive perspective, right? One thing people say is like, oh, body cams are so great because now we can see what the police are doing, right? All right. Well, besides the fact that police habitually accidentally turn off or cover their body cameras or just position them so that they're not.
Will not release the footage.
Right. But beyond that, they're using this as an excuse to. So the funding that's going to body cams is also being used to buy surveillance cameras so they can spy on people and drones and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there's just the solution is not reform and it's not spending a bunch of money on cameras and shit like that. It's defunding the police with the ambition of eventually abolishing the police. Take the money away from the cops and put them into programs that actually help communities. And we know for a fact, we've seen that when there's less cops in the streets, there's less violence. That's been proven. It's happened in the past many times. Like when cops go on strike, the crime rate drops down. Unless you look at the ginned up numbers that cops put out, which are proven to be false as well. All right, anyway. Most killings by police begin with traffic stops. We saw that. 33% of people killed by police were running away, driving away, or trying to flee. Black and brown people were more likely to be killed while fleeing. And of course, in South Carolina, it's pretty common. It happened, I think the last time I heard of it happening was a couple years ago, I think, where people get shot in the back by the police when they're running away. Police violence has changed. And by the way, when you know that, if you especially, like, imagine you're a black person, you know that you're 3 times more likely to be killed by a white person. It's rational to be terrified of the police and to run away.
Exactly.
I mean, that's rational. Everyone should be terrified of the police in the USA. I mean, I'm sorry. They're terrifying.
They're
a fascist gang that have a monopoly on violence and a license to kill.
Just look at how, like their whole body is armed, which is creepy. I never seen it in my life in Vietnam.
Police killings are increasing in rural areas. And killings by county sheriff departments are increasing. Man, the sheriff's departments in South Carolina can get real weird.
Really?
Yeah, like there's the Lexington, I think it's like, I don't know much about them these days because I've been out of touch for so long, but the Lexington County Sheriff was this dude named Leon Lott, and he was such a weirdo fascist. And like, you go to the sheriff's department, and he has a big painting of himself, and he has like, I don't know, it's bizarre. He's wearing like really skinny jeans in the painting, and he's made himself look like way thinner than he really is, and it's like very strange. And then they bought like a tank, and this is like a rural police department for the most part. Some cities are reducing police killings. Other cities are increasing them. Some cities report names of officers who kill other cities. Report names of officers who kill other cities. Hide this from the public. So we don't even know who are executing people out there. There is no accountability. This graphic is very important. I've seen this graph before. 98.1% of killings by police from 2013 to 2022 have not resulted in officers being charged with a crime. They don't even investigate it, really.
So it's nearly 100% they get away with it.
And then of the ones that get charged, look at this.
Yeah.
I think like 1 out of 4 of the ones that get charged get convicted. So it's just amazing to me that you could kill another human being and not even go to trial for it. And then the numbers don't add up. The numbers do not add up. You're telling me that 33% of them are killed while they're running away, and then there's not even an investigation. There's not even a trial. That doesn't. 33% of police executions occur while the victim is running away, and yet less than 2% are actually investigated. The numbers do not add up.
Man.
Now, all right, that's pretty much all I got. I just think it's important to update, visit those numbers every so often. We try. I think last year we went through that same report for 2022 at the time, around the same time.
Yeah, it's updated.
We should definitely do it more than once per year, though. All right, so here's the next thing I want to talk about.
What about? Hey, the government shut down.
There's not much to say about that. I got a little bit to say about the government shutdown.
All right.
I do think that there's been a little bit of a quality shift versus years past. I think that, I don't know, this is really just me speculating. I don't know if it's that interesting to people or not. But in the past, a government shutdown has sort of been something that's viewed as a failure. And then what the different parties do is try to blame each other.
Yeah.
So for instance, when I was a kid, there was a shutdown under Bill Clinton. And the Republican...
Pause.
Yes.
It's such a great system that you guys just talk about government shutdown like it's a normal thing.
Oh, yeah. It's a yearly festival.
What in the world is that?
It's a yearly festival
of
of government ineptitude.
It's
and
so function so well, quote unquote, that like you just talk about government shutdown once every year. It's like, what? It's a government. How can they shut down? But continue.
It's gotten more and more frequent, and the shutdowns have gotten longer and longer. And this is because of the polarization between the two fake sides of the duo party. Anyway, okay. When I was a kid, Bill Clinton, there was a shutdown, and I remember this pretty well. The Republicans were trying to blame Clinton for the shutdown, and Clinton was trying to blame the Republicans because it's really bad when the shutdown happens. Like a lot of services get cut off, and people, a lot of civil servants don't get paid and stuff like that. I mean, no civil servants get paid. They'll get paid hopefully once the
and even also,
shutdown gets negotiated.
Even if you're evil liberal, it's bad PR.
Well, okay, yeah. What do you mean? Even if especially if you're a liberal, I would think, because liberals are more likely to their base is more likely to actually want public services, like like hospitals and stuff. So anyway, but I think there's been a quality shift because the far right members of the Republican Party now are so far out there, and there's this anarcho-capitalist strain, and there's obviously a lot of fascism going on.
Juliana said they sure managed to get really angry about the 5 things they disagree on.
Exactly.
The 5 minor things.
Exactly. That's really funny. But so this new strain of far-right fascists in the Republican Party, they're going to get so much praise from their wacky base for the shutdown. It's a different dynamic. Because in the past, even in the last shutdown under Trump, they were trying, I think even at that point, the Republicans didn't want the shutdown to continue, and they were trying to blame the Democrats. I just have a feeling, maybe I'm wrong about this, but if and when the government gets shut down this time, the far right is going to celebrate it because they're so wacky, they're so out there, and they love the chaos of it all. Mm-hmm. That's why Donald Trump has 4 indictments now, right?
Yeah, and nothing is.
His base loves it. They love it. They're like, oh, we love that. You're getting investigated for and put on trial for all these different wacky shenanigans you've been up to. They love the chaos. They love the instability. They are going to love the shutdown. I think and I think that's a huge quality difference. And I think that the other thing is that they don't care about people at all. Right? Not to say that the other politicians care that much, but when the government gets shut down, I mean, they basically have the ultimate card to play because they're not going to negotiate anything. Why would they? Yeah. It's a win-win situation for the fascists as far as government shutdowns go. Yeah. Because if they just let the shutdown continue, their base is going to love it and eat it up and say, "Oh, look how tough they are. They're refusing to compromise."
Chaos. That's what they want, right. So they can, take over easily.
And then the liberals and the moderate Republicans will, of course, have to budge and compromise and give in to every single demand they have. Yeah. This is how fascists take power.
Yeah.
They are accelerationists. They go in and they destabilize. I mean, it's like the Reichstag fire, right? You know about the Reichstag fire in the Weimar Republic? Yeah. The Nazis went and they caught the Reichstag on fire, and then they blamed the communists. Yeah. And they used that kind of instability and chaos to seize power.
We have it is a strategy, a tactic in Vietnam. It is called, Mưa ông đắc lợi. It is a very famous tactic, and the fascists use it very well. That is their main tactic, which is, they work. It's like a fisherman, waiting for the fish to fight each other, and they would catch them all. That is the metaphor of that tactic, but it is what fascists, they celebrate. That is why they are accelerationist.
Accelerations, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They love fighting because they just watch the fight, and then once the 2 sides got to the weakest point, they just take over both of them, and that's it.
Yep, that's what they do. Well, yeah, and plus the other thing is, who are they really putting pressure on? Okay, the working class is miserable and desperate already. Okay, the shutdown. It's really putting pressure on the capitalist class. And what it's going to be doing is it's going to be putting the capitalists in a situation where they're going to be losing money because of the shutdown. And they're going to say, look, y'all have to fix this. And of course, it's again, this whole system is set up to benefit the capitalists.
Absolutely.
All right, look at the moving pieces. So the government shuts down, and then the reason is because the extreme far right wants to put in all these policies that totally benefit the capitalist class and totally at the expense of the working class.
By the way, do you know what policies are?
I had a list I was going to read. Let's see.
I want to know too, because I want to know the 5 things that they disagree with each other.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull that up. It was in my Trello.
All right.
But anyway, so then the Republican, the far right Republicans get whatever, they get everything, because it's the capitalists are saying, look, this faction, this far right faction, they're trying to push through things that benefit us, and in the meantime, we're losing money because of the shutdown. So it's like, of course, they're going to be putting pressure on all the politicians to do what the far right.
As Juliana said, 100% the end result of this will be more cuts to public services and zero to anything involving the military or tax cuts for rich
Yeah, it's all
people.
about funding disagreements. Hold
Yeah,
on, let me
it's always just the public, the masses that will suffer, not the military, not rich people.
I found the information. What the hell? Oh, this is a video. That's not the thing I thought it was.
To them, Better Angel said, "Ooh, I like your name." To them, frequent instability is a disciplinary measure on the populace.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and it's also just a threat. It's a threat.
Hey, did you know about, is it guy Shunju kind of famous in your country? The
Of course,
yeah.
The Art of War.
The Art of War. That is very famous. And you know what? Exactly. In Vietnamese, of course, it's very famous in Vietnam, but we have a kind of fun version of it and say wow, there's a 36 tactics that Shunju, they taught us. But you know what? The best tactic ever is to run away.
Well, the Democrats are very good at that tactic. They fold. That's the thing. That's what annoys the hell out of me, though, about the Democrats is these fake grifter leftists say, oh, we'll vote the Democrats in, and then we'll bully them into being left and push them left. It's left. Complete failure. They have not done anything. By the way, the funding dispute is over primarily anti-poverty programs, of course, because they don't give a shit about human lives, and funding for Ukraine. So those are the two things that they're arguing about. Okay. So listen, this is talking about Weimar Republic again and the ways in which we're kind of repeating the past in certain ways. So if you know anything about the rise of fascism in Italy and Germany and Spain, you know that the fascists were working hand in glove with the capitalists to suppress workers. And in the brown shirts, the reason they existed, and the black shirts, the reason that they originally began. Let's give a little short, quick, brief history of the Sturmabteilung and the black shirts, the Mussolini's black shirts. These two paramilitary organizations originally began as security for Nazi and fascist party events. So you'd have a big speaking event at a beer hall or something like that.
I have to compliment on your hair today. You look awesome.
Why, thank you.
Right? He looks awesome, right? Continue.
You look fantastic as well.
Thanks.
So anyway, so they'd have these Sturmabteilung functioning as security at these speaking events, but then they'd be hanging around kind of in the fringes of the event, and they would, if they saw any communists or any unionists or anything like that, they would try to pick fights and start fights with them. And they would also go around and start brawls with communists and unionists and leftists and that sort of thing. And over time, pretty rapidly actually, they would start to get paid gigs from capitalists where they would go to where workers were striking, because at this time the unions were very strong and communism was very strong in Europe. And they would just break the strikes and beat up the striking workers, beat up the communists, beat up the organizers, assassinate people, that sort of thing. And that was the kind of how the Sturmabteilung, the SA, was born. And until they were no longer useful to Hitler especially, and he had them all taken out in the Night of Long Knives. Anyway, why am I talking about that? Because we're starting to see the same kind of pattern of behavior crop up in the USA, where fascists are starting to harass and attack striking workers, not just the USA, but also in Canada, I should say. So let's look at this article from about a year ago first. It is, I believe it's this one. Yeah, this is it. 2022. Yeah. Okay. Put that on the screen, Luna.
Yes. Here we go.
All right. So this is from 2022, February of 2022. The far-right convoy is threatening workers' lives and costing them money. Canadian workers are losing wages, facing dangerous working conditions, and struggling with daily life. So this is like the beginning of the convoy. If you're not familiar with the workers' convoy, first of all, you should know that it has roots in Vietnam. We won't go into the
Funny
whole story
enough.
right now, but the very first freedom convoy took place in Vietnam, and it was
2017, 18, 19.
it was organized by a fascist, and she then, after the convoy, took her experiences from that and turned it into basically a white paper, like an article, a handbook on how to do it.
Yeah.
And that handbook has been used by the far-right Freedom Convoy fascists in Canada and the USA. So, all right. In one of the earliest reports on January 29th of, I guess this is of 2022, workers at the Shepherds of Good Hope, an Ottawa homeless shelter, reported intimidation and harassment from a group of convoy members who harassed staff and volunteers into giving them free food. Staff and volunteers were verbally harassed by people who came to the kitchen looking for meals. One of the people who used services at the shelter was assaulted, and they also used racial slurs. And there's a tweet about that. The same day, convoy members wandered maskless around, and remember, this is early 2022. I know that the pandemic's still going on, but some people were actually taking it serious back then. Unlike now, where like it's pretty much very few people take it seriously anymore, unfortunately. That same day, convoy members wandered maskless around the Rideau Center, Ottawa's biggest shopping mall, harassing workers and urging them to take off their masks. Like, I never will understand this fascist impulse to like give a shit about what somebody else is wearing. I just tried to keep my head down. It was the scariest thing I've ever seen in the mall, and I've worked here for 4 years. Ryan Bimbachi, a 22-year-old shop worker, told the Ottawa Citizen. They came in and started yelling and screaming at people. Everything that is going on right now is just scary. This is fascist jackboot tactics. This is brown shirt tactics right here. The Rideau Center has been closed for 12 days and counting, causing 1,500 retail and service sector workers and hundreds of shops to lose shifts and wages. We have no income, and the people that come in every day that I know are single mothers and are struggling. Wow. If they miss one shift, they have no money. And I know for myself, I have no savings, so it's like one shift, I'm done.
Wow.
Arledge added. They're yelling racially charged slurs at me, asking if the reason that I had my mask on was because I am an anti-Asian slur.
Gosh.
Liz Mock, the owner of Moose Shoes, said that in over 6 years of operating downtown, she's never experienced a protest as scary as this. I don't think that we thought it was going to feel as scary or as disruptive as it's been, and we also didn't anticipate it to last so long. So remember, people were trying to say that the truckers' convoy was like a working class uprising, and there were even like these fake grifter leftists who were saying that. People who even call themselves communists were saying that. This is an anti-worker movement. It is a racist, fascist movement, the trucker convoys. And it has deep roots in the international fascist movement, okay? Ottawa paramedics have reported several instances where convoy participants hurled rocks at ambulances. Luna can attest also in Vietnam, the Freedom Convoy fascists were attacking ambulances.
Yes. They blocked all the roads and they didn't let anybody to go through at all whatsoever for months on end in multiple provinces. And it caused several deaths of victims on the ambulance, but even the ambulance could not go through. Yeah, that was how horrible it was.
So, and they're also, of course, in addition to throwing rocks at this paramedic, they were calling the person racial slurs. A downtown hotel in Ottawa has offered a safe room for healthcare and other essential workers who feel unsafe traveling through the downtown core. Healthcare workers should avoid wearing scrubs or clothing that would identify them as healthcare workers as a safety precaution. I mean, what the hell kind of movement is this where they are targeting and attacking medical professionals? Ongoing harassment prompted an Ottawa physician to write an open letter denouncing the actions of convoy participants. They will not hide. They wrote a letter saying they will not hide in fear of violence from hate-fueled convoys. We will not cower. We will not hide. We will wear our scrubs in public without fear, knowing that Canadians have our backs. Teachers, assistants, and contract instructors are also getting harassed, spat at and called homophobic slurs. Fellow workers are verbally assaulted and threatened just for trying to do their jobs. Today, many of us are unable to access essential services we need to survive. Violence has forced schools and daycares and libraries and community health centers to close. And the Teamsters Union, which represented approximately 15,000 long-haul truck drivers across Canada, called the convoy a despicable display of hate led by the political right. Because remember, these truck drivers in the Freedom Convoy, these are like fleet operators by and large. They're petty bourgeois, far right people. The few of them that were not are obviously class traders. Even the Teamster Union said so. They serve to delegitimize the real concerns of most truck drivers today, according to the Teamsters, the biggest truck union in the world, as far as I know. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. In Alberta, the far-right convoy has blocked the U.S.-Canada border, which left many South Asian Canadian truck drivers stranded for days. A lot of truckers, they don't even have food. Some of them have medical issues. Some of them have asthma. Some of them have thyroid issues. One trucker stuck at the border said, calling on Canadian officials for help. Nobody's even listening to us, so please help us out. Wow. So the actual working-class truck drivers were not, by and large, on board with this. The union was not on board with this. This was like a petty bourgeois fascist activity. All right, so now that was a year ago. Let's look at what's going on right now.
Wow, okay. Some update, yay.
Let's see. So, all right, let me share the screen. The point is, once again, if you're just joining us, we're showing how the fascists in the USA and Canada now are resorting to old-fashioned brown shirt tactics of intimidating and harassing and beating up workers, especially striking workers. Apparently medical workers were heavily targeted in Canada. All right. Freedom protesters harassed striking CRA workers in Sudbury. Using a megaphone, one protester shouted obscenities at striking Public Service Alliance of Canada workers over the rainbow union flags some workers were waving. A handful of supporters of the so-called Freedom Convoy have been making their presence known on the Public Service Alliance of Canada picket line in New Sudbury and prompted a warning from Sudbury and District Labour Council. Canada's largest federal public service union and the government failed to reach an agreement by the April 18th deadline and have been on strike since with more than 1,000 people lining the sidewalk near the Canada Revenue Agency building in Sudbury. And while the striking PSAC workers appreciate the support shown by passing drivers honking their horns, the appearance near the picket line of other protesters prompted the Labour Council to issue a warning to its members on Thursday. Freedom Convoy folks are showing up at the PSAC picket lines outside CRA, the short statement reads. Please come to the line and show support for these striking workers. While you are there, please do not engage with the convoy protesters who are taking advantage of this massive gathering to advance their anti-queer and anti-worker agenda. I'm comfortable in saying somebody like Jason does not represent workers, does not represent what the overwhelming majority of people think and where their concerns are. Go through a set of LaFace's attendance. This is a former Ontario Party candidate and convoy supporter, Jason LaFace, who showed up.
Oh, gosh.
He also uses different names, LaFauci, LaFauci, and Goulet, among others. On Thursday morning, LaFace recorded a video of himself along the sidewalk circling the CRA building on Notre Dame Avenue, which he posted to social media, at first shouting. He then began using a megaphone to harass the workers. In the video, LaFace singles out the flag some of the strikers are waving as the particular source of his ire. The flags feature the PSAC logo over a rainbow-colored background, associated with LGBTQ plus community, obviously. Got a big protest here at the CRA building, waving flags for pride, he says in the video referring to the queer community. You know this is a workers' union, not a effing pride union, so we're going to counter-protest. LaFace asks people why they're waving pride flags instead of Canadian flags and is heard saying the absence of the national flag is pretty disgusting. So, he wants them to be more nationalist. After seemingly criticizing the striking workers for not taking part in the Freedom Convoy occupation of Ottawa in January 2022, saying the workers won't stand for freedoms, but they'll stand for money, whatever that means, he begins to call the striking workers names, including slur, slur, and slur. At one point, the PSAC members turned their music louder to drown out LaFace's megaphone. One striking worker began shouting at LaFace, and he responds with a threat to effing smash you should the person continue or come closer to him. That video ends with LaFace returning to his vehicle and promising to come back after and cause some more trouble. So anyway, that's what the Freedom Convoy is up to right now, striking workers being harassed and intimidated. I got one more. story along the
Just
same
a
vein.
fun fact about, remember a few minutes ago we told you like the Freedom Convoy tactic came from Vietnam and first like experimented in Vietnam 2017-18 with the leader. You know that the leader of the Freedom Convoy in Vietnam was praised by Human Rights Watch and was given a Human Rights Award by the UK government.
Yep.
They called her a freedom fighter.
Talk about some neoliberal fascist bargaining going on right there. Julius Tibernarius says, those freaks have been busting into classrooms and pulling down pride flags. I've seen videos of it. Yes. Attacking schools, medical professionals, striking workers. This is an anti-worker movement, and they use racism and bigotry and homophobia and transphobia and all these other forms, ableism, all these other forms of oppression, which capitalism has a dialectical relationship with. They use it to divide workers. That is why we need to build unity between workers by attacking things like white supremacism and queerphobia and all the other forms of oppression. It's very obvious, and it's so obvious that's why the fascists are, opportunistically using these issues to attack workers. Okay, so let's see. Here's another story. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad
Bye,
news.
Jason. Jason has to go now.
Oh, fairly well, Jason. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you
See you
eventually.
in a while.
All right. Striking UAW members fight man outside Stellantis plant claiming he yelled racial slurs. A brawl erupted outside the Stellantis Center line facility early Friday evening. Of course, solidarity with the striking union of auto workers. The incident caught on video as Skyfox helicopter cameras were rolling unfolded with the man stopping his SUV and getting into a verbal confrontation with a group of UAW members. Videos show it quickly escalated with shoving and the man grabbing a striker's sign, wielding it as a weapon, swinging at UAW members. After backing up against a fence, punches were exchanged as a group of members traded blows with the man. At one point, the man stumbled onto the ground where he absorbed additional punishment. Fuck around.
And fight out.
The altercation appeared to simmer, and the man returned to his vehicle when his wife got out and can be seen throwing a piece of trash at the UAW members. At this point, pushing and shoving took place with one UAW member swatting her head with his sign. The UAW official at the scene told Fox 2's Jessica Dupnack that the man drove up, started yelling racial slurs and throwing objects at the crowd. The man motioned like he had a weapon, leading to UAW members intervening to see if he had a weapon on him. He said he was yelling racial slurs, calling people the B word and the N word, started throwing stuff at people, and then reached behind his back like he had something, and we got him on his way. The agitator and his family drove off before police arrived. There were no arrests. We're not violent. We're not looking for none of that. We're not instigating fights, Rollins said. The man jumped out of the car and attacked us. They're bringing us food. They're dropping off water. So that's, look, it's getting more common.
Yeah.
And we're getting more and more reports of this kind of intimidation and violence from
I've been
the far
telling
right.
you from at least 2020 when the BLM started. So like it was not it's the start of something. It's not the end.
Yeah. But I hope, it seems like there's a lot of support for the striking auto workers outside of the fascist world. And I hope that they get all of their demands met. It's very...
These fascists love cars, but don't respect the workers who built them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Moving on to... all right, this dag blasted New York Times article that I had to hack into the screen. This is a totally unrelated. We're switching gears now. So anyway, I guess we'll button that up by saying fascist accelerationism is on the rise. Mm-hmm. We're seeing it in the government shutdown situation. We're seeing it on the streets with fascists harassing and attacking striking workers. And we all need to be vigilant, organized, and prepared for this escalation to continue because the fascists are not giving up anytime soon. And we have to get more organized and build anti-fascist resistance everywhere. We can't lose ground on this. We can't. It's very important that we keep the fight going. All right. So, and by the way, I'm talking about a fight. We fight in self-defense and community defense. Mm-hmm. They attack. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are going out attacking medical workers, students, teachers, workers. Okay, they're the ones that are attacking us. All I'm saying is that we need to organize for community defense. That's all I'm saying. I don't think there's anything controversial about that whatsoever. All right, share this on the screen. We're talking now about real estate, speculative investing. And this story just kind of blew my mind. But it's really also at the same time not surprising at all. What happens when Wall Street buys most of the homes on your block? All right, this is a little bit of a visual story. This house in Bradfield Farms, a 34-year-old leafy subdivision in the eastern edge of Charlotte, North Carolina. By the way, I lived in Charlotte for a while, in South Charlotte. In December 2021, it sold for $320,000 in cash to a real estate investor.
Okay.
Soon after, the modest three-bedroom house was converted into a rental.
Wow.
It wasn't a loan. This graphics are a little screwed up, but there's only one house that was not bought by an investor. And then there were a bunch of houses that were bought by an investor. Roughly a third of the homes on the block sold in 2021 and 2022. All but one were bought in all-cash deals by investors who now rent them out. Across the Bradfield Farm subdivision, 50% of the homes that sold in 2021 and 2022 were bought by large investors who paid in cash as first-time buyers struggled to get a foothold. So, the economy collapses, and then a lot of people have to lose their homes, and then a lot of speculative investors come in, sweep up, buy all the homes, turn them into rental houses. And I can tell you, I was doing some electrical work and other kind of handyman work in the U.S. This year, and a lot of the houses that I was working in, and I've done this kind of work for a while. You're seeing more and more of these rental houses in suburbs, like the suburb that I grew up in. Where I grew up, it used to be everyone pretty much owned their own home. Very few people were renting in the suburb that I grew up in. This was back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And now, a lot of them, I can't give you specific numbers or anything, but a lot of them are these rental houses. And I know because they hired us, they're run by these like property managers, sometimes that aren't even in the USA. So if you have a problem, and I know because I work with some of these people, somebody has a problem, like let's say you're renting one of these houses and your faucet's leaking or you have an electrical problem or something, you have to call the property management company, which might not even be in the USA.
Yeah.
Their hours of operation are really weird.
Yeah.
You have to leave a message and stuff. And then finally they might come send somebody to your house to get it fixed. But it takes days to get that kind of stuff worked out.
You're gonna suffer.
So these
If
are
they
like
fix it at
absentee
all.
landlords. Yeah, these are absentee landlords that we're talking about. So this is no longer a place where a young middle-income couple can easily buy a modest house for less than $200,000, whereas just a few years ago it was. Alvin Maisonette became the first person in his family to own a home, a two-story house with shade trees in the front yard and Bradfield Farms on his 36th birthday. For $150,000, Mr. Maisonette, a truck driver, truck drivers keep coming up today, now 44, and his wife, Patricia Maisonette, 43, a nurse, traded a frenzied life in Paterson, New Jersey for generational wealth and tranquility. Joggers waved and said hello. The grassy backyard was bucolic. Mr. Maisonette envisioned a pool. I felt like I was a princess in the middle of Miss Maisonette, of my castle, she said. Now, a newcomer is more likely to rent a house from a corporate landlord with a name like First Key Homes, Main Street Renewal, Home River Group, or Progress Residential. Wall Street has come for the starter home. First-time buyers who overwhelmingly rely on mortgages were often outmatched by cash buyers at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, when interest rates plummeted below 3% and home prices soared. Across the USA, more than a third of all sales in 2022 were in cash. Many of those houses went to families and individuals, but investors paying cash accounted for nearly 10% of home purchases that year, according to data from Atom, a property data analytics company. All right, a little graphic here about, so you can see this huge spike during the pandemic of investors buying homes.
It's
Mostly
us lost money, not them.
Investors were largely uninterested in wealthier enclaves. Instead, they targeted middle-income neighborhoods, many with larger Black and Latino populations, so of course gentrification plays a role here. Bradfield Farms fits the bill. It's in an area that in 2020 was 35% Black and 11% Latino, according to census data. Residents include teachers, auto shop workers, receptionists, nurses, and cabinet makers. Over 2 years, from 2021 to 2022, investors snapped up properties in Bradfield Farms at roughly 3 times the rate of the citywide average of 17%. Homeowners were inundated with calls, text messages, letters, and emails from people offering to buy their homes sight unseen. The buyers closed fast and used inscrutable names that ended in LLC. Investors went hog wild, said Kelly Enos, a local real estate agent. Large investors concentrated their purchases in the middle and working class neighborhoods around the northern and eastern side of the city. In wealthier neighborhoods in South Charlotte, cash buyers were largely individividuals, not corporations.
It's so shady. You buy like hundreds of thousands of dollars house and you pay all in cash.
Well, yeah, because this is just there's two reasons they do it. One is for the passive income of collecting rent, because it's a great gig. You don't have to do any work. You're running a protection racket, and you have the cops as your hired muscle. That's what being a landlord is. It's a protection racket where a residential landlord basically threatens people with losing their homes if they don't pay up every month, and if you don't pay the protection racket fee, then the cops come in and kick you out. So it's a mafioso thing, and it's enforced by the state. Cash offers from investors are appealing. A homeowner does not have to stage the house, wait for an appraisal and inspection, or watch a sale fall apart if the buyer doesn't get the mortgage. Even as investors have dialed back their purchases, buyers remain under pressure. Mortgage rates are at a 21-year high. 21-year high. And that's including going through the freaking 2007-9 recession. Home prices have continued to rise in Charlotte, and inventory is anemic. Wall Street is definitely being blamed for home price increases and rent increases, whereas in reality, home prices and rents would have gone up because these are fast-growing areas, said Larry Goldman, the founder of Housing Finance Policy Center at the Urban Institute. Oh, okay. There's more empty houses than houseless people. I have to remind people that. 45 times more empty houses than houseless people in the USA. The single-family rental industry sees its efforts, because I didn't finish my thought. The other reason people invest in these houses is it's just a place to park your money.
Yeah.
It's like, instead of putting it in the bank where you get like what? If you have really good credit, maybe you get like 3% interest.
3% the best.
You put it in this house and it's appreciating value all the time. And there's all kinds of tax breaks for landlords. So the single-family rental industry sees its efforts as providing a vital social benefit. Of course, it's like the whole job creation myth.
Yeah.
This is like when fucking Destiny said, if we didn't have landlords, then where would people get homes? It's like...
Is as if to say, like, if we don't have a Bill Gates, how do we have a food? Like, what are you talking about?
In case you're not aware of this fact, landlords don't build houses.
Yes, they don't provide houses.
They barely provide services.
Actually, they're hoarding houses away from people.
They're withholding these resources. That's the important thing. Just like capitalists don't give you a job, they withhold the means of production. The single-family rental industry sees its efforts as providing a vital social benefit. People need homes to rent, and Wall Street has the deep pockets to help. COVID really drove demand for single-family rentals, said David Howard, the chief executive of the National Rental Home Council. As more people worked from home and schooled their kids from home, they needed more space. A rental lowers the barrier of entry into a neighborhood. If you can't afford a down payment or don't have strong enough credit for a mortgage, a for rent sign changes the equation. And then they go and there's this whole like made up myth of the social credit system in China. It doesn't actually exist. It doesn't work. What they do have doesn't work at all the way that they say it does. But the credit system in the USA is a social credit system. If you have bad credit in the USA, trust me, I know, you can't get a house.
Brings me back to the time when, the whole media outlets panic about the social number in China.
That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah, I know that. I just want to add more. The whole entire world panic about horrible system. It's like, this is the thing that's been going on in the USA for God knows how long. Nobody talks about it enough.
So listen, there's propaganda and perceptual reality going on right in this paragraph. What they're saying is this. I'll read it word for word. If you don't have strong enough credit for a mortgage, a for rent sign gives you an opportunity to move into these better neighborhoods. Now, come on. This is propaganda for people who are so out of touch that they don't know how the world works. In the chat, raise your hand if you have bad credit and you've ever tried to get a freaking rental house. You don't have credrit. You live in Vietnam.
In the USA.
You have no credit.
I have no
You don't get
credit
to raise
in
your
the
head.
USA. All right.
You have no credit and you've never tried to get a house in the USA. You come from this comparatively much better world where you don't have to worry about shit like that. There is no such thing as credit checking in Vietnam. We've never gotten credit checked or anything to rent an apartment here. What did we we rented the last apartment and the whole thing took 5 minutes. I can't believe that. We literally the apartment we're staying in right now. We show up, the agent guy meets us at the thing. We look inside the apartment. You've seen the apartment if you watched BREADCAST recently. It's like a little
You
shoebox
see the whole
apartment.
entire.
Anyway, we go in there, we look in it, we look around for a second, and we're like, okay, we'll take it. And he's like, okay, here's the contract. We sign it, and we're done.
Done.
That was it. Here's the keys. That was literally it. I think we gave them like a 1 month deposit, right? And that's it. And like, no credit check, no background check. They didn't have to like, nothing.
Nothing.
Whereas in the USA, it's like, Luna, you have no clue. That's kind of why I was giving you a hard time when you raised your hand, because you have no idea. You have no clue
All right.
how hard it is to rent an apartment.
Okay, tell me briefly the procedure. I want to know.
So the last apartment that I rented was in Charlotte, actually.
All right.
And it was in South Charlotte,
Okay.
which is like the ritzy part of town. But so here's the thing, like I was living alone, and it was like I had to choose between living in South Charlotte where things are like way more expensive, even in the rougher parts of South Charlotte, or living in like North Charlotte where things are cheaper and having to drive through the city every single day. There was no option of living in the city. It was way outside of my price range, anything in the city. So if I wanted to live in North Charlotte where things were cheaper, I'd have to drive like through or around the city every day to commute to work.
All right. That's
So
horrible.
I got an apartment in South Charlotte. I found literally it was the cheapest apartment I could find in South Charlotte. I could not find a cheaper apartment than this.
all right.
So it was the cheapest, crappiest apartment in South Charlotte that I could find after like weeks of searching.
Okay.
And it was like, and this was in 2015. It was like $850 per month for a tiny
Bedroom.
1 bedroom, 1 bed, 1 bath,
Yeah,
kitchenette.
Oh, okay. 800.
And it was $850 a month, something like that. And it was like in this kind of rundown, shabby complex. But they have these, like, chat knows what I'm talking about. I guarantee you most of the chat knows what I'm talking about. If you're from the USA especially. You go to these little, they're like, you remember in the movie Beetlejuice? Remember the like waiting room for all the dead people in Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
It's worse than that. It's like this little office of misery.
Okay.
And there's like, typically there's like 1, 2, 3, usually 2 or 3 staff members working there. And they're just like the hardest hard ass you've ever met in your life.
Okay.
Because their whole job is shutting people down constantly and like shaking them down for money, basically. Like the job requirement to get this job is to have like absolutely no empathy for other human beings whatsoever. Because like, and by the way, these are like, they have no power also at the same time. So like I have sympathy for them as workers, but also they tend to be assholes just in terms of that's the kind of people who get
That's
this
their
job.
job. That's
So-
how they got hired.
So, okay, they have no power whatsoever. Everything that they're like robots. It's like talking to a computer because everything at these commercial rental place, it's all based on like these really strict policies.
No.
And you have to do everything according to the policy. There is no exception whatsoever. So for instance, it's like at this place, I had to do a background check and I had to do a
Background check for everything else.
a background check and a credit check.
Okay.
And then the security deposit, this was in 2015. It's even worse now from what I understand.
No.
From what I understand, it's far worse now. But back then, so first of all, this thing came up because there's a lot of people that have my name. It's a very, very, very common name. And like somebody came up on my background check
No.
for like, it was for like racketeering or something, like a really serious crime.
Oh my god.
And I had to go and like find the sheriff's department where this was and like get that taken off, like I had to fix that.
My
And that was really
goodness.
embarrassing too, because the woman is looking at like, and then she like, I don't know, pulls up the thing and she's like, well, it says here that you've gotten arrested for this, this, and this, and like, but here's the thing though. In all sincerity, in all seriousness, if you have a record, a criminal record, it can ruin your life in that way too. Because then it shows up and you can't even rent a freaking house because of that. I'm lucky
let
that.
alone finding a job.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that I was able to get that taken off of my credit check. But like, most people that have actually been served time, they don't have that option.
Especially if you were black, it would be so hard.
Oh, no question. If I was any kind of if I had an actual record at all, they wouldn't have rented it to me. It's very hard to find places that will. So anyway, then they did my credit check, and because my credit wasn't great, it was like, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. It was like middle of the road. I had a few bumps along the way kind of thing. But that's how they set your deposit is based on your credit check. So if you have really great credit, and this is the thing, if you're rich, everything's cheaper in America. It's true. If you're rich, everything's cheaper. So my credit wasn't that great. So I had to pay it was like a 3 or 4 month deposit. And
Really?
yeah. And then I ended up leaving the country to come back to Vietnam after like 9 months into a 1-year lease. And they kept the whole deposit, okay? Now, and this is the thing that really pisses me off about renting in the USA too. Not only do they keep your deposit, but they put a bad credit thing on your credit score, okay? Which means you're definitely not renting a place again after that.
God.
And not only that, they have their own little freaking apartment rental credit system.
Oh gosh.
So they have this like system where they flag you and they say this person didn't pay the rent.
You have a national system, now they have a private system.
And now I am not 100% sure about this. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. But I don't think there's the same laws about that system as the financial credit system. And I don't think those flags ever go away. So basically for the rest of my life, that will be on my thing. And why? Because I had to move out of the country. It's not like I was like a criminal or something like that. What they wanted me to do was, in addition to keeping my deposit, they wanted me to pay another, like, breaking the lease fee. And they wanted me, so it was like, they literally have you by the short hairs. It's the worst system. Now, chat, I apologize. Maybe you're from a place where they don't have all these barbaric systems like we have in the USA. And I know it kind of can vary by state, but South Carolina and North Carolina are pretty dang bad for renters. And I guess, hopefully, it's been a little bit enjoyable watching me explain this to a poor, innocent Vietnamese woman who's never had to deal with any of this kind of bullshit.
Yannick just said, kind of amazing that we can still shop with them.
Okay, Yannick knows what I'm talking about.
I mean, at first I was shocked with the government shutdown. It should be a major, horrible, terrific thing. You just like, yeah, we're going to have a government shutdown. The next few days, like, what?
Yeah.
And then now it's a rental system.
Okay, so Tubbo, there is at least one law that I know of in South Carolina that's decent. There's 2 laws in South Carolina that are decent, but most states do not have this. Okay? If you have a debt in South Carolina, first of all, there's a law that I think after 5 or 6 years, don't ask me how I know this. Maybe I may or may not have had to go through this. After 5 or 6 years, if you owe money to a credit card company or personal loan or anything like that, it will drop off of your credit score. This is in South Carolina. I don't know about the rest of the country. And then the other thing is, in South Carolina, and it's one of the only states in the entire country that's like this, they cannot garnish your wages. But in almost every other state, if I rack up like a $5,000 or $10,000 credit card bill, say for instance, right? Say $5,000, right? In most states in the USA, if I don't pay the credit card company back, they can sue me, and then if they win, which they will, they can literally garnish your wages, which means they take the money out of your paycheck until it's paid off with interest. So it's one of the only good things about living in South Carolina is that they can't do that there. I know a lot about this stuff. Don't ask me why I know. Also, Delaware is a state where, in South Carolina, they can take money out of your bank account. But in Delaware, they cannot.
Okay.
So there are a few states like this. I don't know all of them. But a good formula is if you owe a lot of money, you could try to like live in South Carolina and have a bank account in Delaware. And then they cannot garnish your wages and they cannot touch your bank account. This is not financial or legal advice.
No.
I am not at all telling you. I'm telling you what my understanding of the situation. If you try this and it doesn't work out, you're on your own.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you financial advice right now, just to be absolutely clear. I know this is a very cringe, like tech bro, crypto bro thing to be like, this is not financial advice, but really, seriously, it's not financial advice. Do your own research.
I had my wages garnished from.
Who said that?
Yannick said they've had their wages garnished from them because of their student loans.
Yes. There's no escaping that, even in South Carolina.
Yeah, no, it's good.
The student loans you cannot escape from. And I know people in Asia, many people in Asia, who to this day they have to pay off their student loans because they have to. You cannot escape it.
Do Vietnamese own gold as a safe asset? It's more of a boomer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my mom age, older, they do not trust anybody, anything but gold.
Yeah.
So like if they have some saving, they would buy gold.
And just to be clear, fraud would be if like you went into this knowing that you're going to not pay it back. 99% of the people who get into debt have no clue.
No clue.
I mean, it's like it's a trap. In fact, the credit card companies spend billions of dollars tricking you into bad. Really, I know.
Yeah.
I assume you were joking,
Yeah,
so I'm not trying to.
Yes.
I'm not trying to make fun of this chatter or anything like that, but or attack this chatter. But I'm just saying, I think it's worth noting that the credit card companies go out of their way to target poor people and students and people who they know they're going to be able to trap in debt, and then they fool them into thinking it's this like safe thing to do, and then they put you in that trap and they got you. So
after hearing all this shit, I feel like you need to be a financial expert in order to be able to live in the USA.
oh yeah, so it's so complicated, right? Like you have to
Right.
understand all this stuff.
I
And
don't think I can put up with it. Like, no.
I took in high school, they called it economics, and it was supposed to teach you about like balancing your checkbook and all this stuff. But they didn't teach me anything about what to actually do when you get in debt, because all the advice was like, it was idealism, it was utopianism. All the advice I got in high school was like idealism and utopianism. It was like, don't get credit cards, don't take out loans with high interests, don't do this, and then you won't have debt, and then you won't have to worry about it. And then it's like, wait a minute, in real life, you have medical emergencies, people have kids, people have cars break down, people have housing crises, people have to move for various reasons, and they go into debt. That's just a natural thing. So it's kind of like, you know what it's like, Luna? It's like the difference between sex ed, where they teach you like, okay, here's how to use a condom, here's how to use the pill, here are all your different options for birth control. It's like, that's the education you should be having in sex ed, but then a lot of people want to have like abstinence only, which is, idealist utopianism. Like, just don't have sex and then you won't get pregnant, will be a problem. We have like abstinence only financial education in our schools in the USA, at least in my experience. Maybe it's different now, but that's what it was like when I was in school. And it's like, we should be teaching kids like, oh, this is how you will get trapped in debt, because this is how capitalism functions. And these are some of the only things you can do to try to eke out survival from it.
Yeah. Somebody's asked me, what else can we try? The blood tofu.
What?
The
What?
blood.
This is a conversation topic change, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, because I was
totally
like, what in
topic
the
change.
world are you talking about?
Totally topic change. You can. This is a quick tip for Nemo, my long time audience.
Mm-hmm.
Blood tofu, except like soup, you can do like stew.
What are you
stir
talking?
fry,
Can you set this up? I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about cooking?
cooking?
I don't know what blood tofu is. Blood tofu?
Blood tofu for blood.
See, you need to explain this stuff, because
You
I
can
don't
make
know
blood
what you're talking about.
sauces, which is really good. You can
Uh-huh.
go Google it, blood sauces.
Do we have to talk about blood tofu? I
You
don't.
can
This is
make
giving me an
a stir
upset stomach.
fry or stew with it. So that's it. End of my answer.
Let's reserve the blood tofu. I know this is a note for like months from now when we come back. Let's reserve the blood tofu conversations for Mooncast, okay? Have I tried blood tofu?
You did.
Did I like it?
You don't like it.
I don't like it. Oh, I can imagine what it tastes like. Oh, please don't. Oh. I think I just remembered it. I think I just remembered what it's like. It's kind of like gritty and... Is it like gritty and slimy?
No.
What's the consistency like?
Kind of like, it's like tofu, but
No, I don't think you're right about that. I think you're propagandizing for big blood tofu right now. I like blood sausage. I will say I like blood sausage.
because it's really good.
Korea has a really good blood sausage soup that I love.
We also have blood sausage soup. I mean, differently, but I mean, Ireland also has a blood sausage.
I know,
dish.
so does Spain.
Mhm.
It's very common.
Very common.
The
thing.
blood tofu, though, it's like, that's just a gross combination of words. Can we work on the branding for blood tofu? Can we call it
What?
something else?
Something else.
Call it like, I don't know. This is the kind of thing you need like a French name to disguise. You need to call it like tofu de bleu. De bleu. Tofu de bleu.
Good.
Well, let's see. I'm just curious. I'm going to actually translate blood tofu into French just because I'm curious. English to Francais.
I love you, EJ, but you just white person ED out of that.
What? Blood tofu? I don't. come on. Oh, this is great. It's better than I thought. Tofu sanguine.
Tofu sanguine.
That sounds so good.
Right.
Tofu sanguine. Today we have for you tofu sanguine. Oh, I love it. Tofu rouge.
Tofu rouge. Vampire tofu. As a white person.
Luna should just start 5 different topics. That's what breadcasting with Luna is like.
Exactly.
Y'all don't understand.
ADHD.
I have ADHD.
Ooh.
So listen, I have like certain mechanisms that I try to. So I'll set up like, okay, we're gonna talk about this, and this. See? You see what's happening right now? I'll have like a list of topics we're gonna go through in order, and it's like that helps me stay focused. And then Luna's over here just like, what do they call it? What do they call that? There's a word. It's from Buddhism. The monkey brain, the monkey in your brain. Okay, so in Buddhism, there's this idea that like in your path to enlightenment, the first thing you have to do is you have to quiet the monkey in your brain that's just constantly trying to distract you. Luna is like this monkey in my brain. No, let's talk about Portuguese blood. What are you talking about? Portugal?
Portuguese. Blood tofu in Portuguese.
Oh, you want me to translate it to Portuguese? Okay. I'll try it. Oh no, it's doing it again. All right. Look at this, Luna. What? You know,
what in the world is kind
this is why we don't buy keyboards on Shopee ever again.
Yeah, like keyboard that automatically delete things.
It's like the highly secure keyboard. Anything you type, it instantly deletes it.
Like, what in the world?
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
P. Portuguese.
P. It's the same. Tofu de sangue.
Yeah.
Tofu de sangue.
Cute.
Love it. Sangue de soybean. Is the monkey in your brain banging symbols together by any chance? Oh my gosh. That's the last thing we need to do is give Luna a set of symbols. You would love that too much. Remember we used to have a triangle and you abused your triangle privileges too. We used to have a triangle for like super chats and donations.
I just keep
and Luna would just be like banging it just randomly.
For fun.
So yeah, no, it's not symbols, it's a triangle. Oh, this would be good, McClubbin. A keyboard that keeps you from arguing online by automatically deleting what you wrote. Pretty good. Yeah. That's what we'll market this as. Anybody want to buy a keyboard that
buy from us this one? It would like you would never have an online fight.
Lord have mercy. Okay, so where are we at? We're going to go for 90 minutes today, so we got 8 more minutes left. We didn't finish the story. Do you want to finish the story?
What's the story?
About real estate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. Sorry, folks. We got major distraction, sidetrack. Okay, so a rental lowers the barrier of entry, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I don't know if I ever even finished that point, but they're saying that converting all these houses from family-owned houses to rental houses is supposed to be great because if you have bad credit, you can rent instead of getting a mortgage. But it's like, even if you have like a few dings in your mortgage, you think you're going to get into one of these South Charlotte neighborhoods as a renter? Yeah. You have to have like sterling credit to get into one of these places, I'm sure. So it's perceptual reality. They're putting you in this. They're saying like, no, this is great for poor people. This is great. It's like the bullshit.
No, poor people don't have a good credit like score.
Exactly. But advocates of okay, I'll tell you what. Put your money where your mouth is. Okay, real estate landlords. If you really want to use that in your propaganda, then you rent it to anybody regardless of their credit.
Exactly.
Then
like in Vietnam.
It's a thing of scale. They're reaching near a monopoly in some places. In dialectical materialism term, we would call this a quality shift. They're shutting people out of the home buying process. For most Americans, their home is their largest investment and their primary source of generational wealth. Yet only 46% of Black households and 49% of Latino households own a home, both well below the national average of 66%. And remember, when we talk about house ownership in the USA, we're actually talking about, by and large, mortgaging. Most people who think they own a house don't own their house. They have a mortgage.
Exactly. The banks actually own your own house and you pay taxes every year.
You pay taxes and you pay rent to the bank in the form of interest.
Even if you're lucky enough to own a home, which is actually not because the bank owns it, you still have to pay tax every year.
Yep. They'd say they can rent you. Oh. First super chat of the show.
Henry the Eighth Fake.
Henry the Eighth, fake edition.
Yes.
Best of luck, guys. Oh wow, that's very generous. Thank you so much, Henry the Eighth. I don't know, that's a real super chat.
Yeah.
From the fake Henry the Eighth. We really appreciate that. Best of luck to you as well. Don't lose your head. No, that wasn't really Henry that lost the head. But anyway, no, we really appreciate that. That's very, very
Thank you
kind
so
of you. That'll go a long way. And shit, I am having a hard time with my keyboard again. All right.
Deleting things again.
No, it's just zooming in and
Sonny
out.
Beat super chat. Enjoying the time away from stream. Oh yeah. You will be missed.
Who said that? Wait.
Sonny Bits.
Sunny Bits. Enjoy the time away from stream. You'll be missed. We'll miss you all too. We really. We'll get into that in a minute. We're about to wrap up the show in a minute, but so I'll tell you all how much I miss you in a bit. But thank you so much for the super chat, Sunny Bits. That really means a lot. Appreciate you. Once again, in case you're joining us, I'll say this again. In case you're joining us and you didn't hear us say this before, if you want to keep in touch with us while we're on hiatus, we may be starting a podcast while we're on hiatus, and we have other things in the works. And we know a lot of you this is kind of like the main way you keep in touch with us. So we have here. I'll put a banner up. lunaoi.com/mail and non-compete.com/mail. You can sign up for our mailing list.
Keyboard disability.
My keyboard is definitely causing freaking problems. Okay, lunaoi.com/mail and non-compete.com/mail.
Yes.
This is where you can sign up for our little newsletter. We're not going to spam you too much, and we certainly won't share your information with anybody. And that way, when we do launch new podcasts or when we come back to streaming, you'll get an email and you'll know about it. We don't know even. I mean, we're pretty.
As we will be away from each other, the podcast would be a better,
It'll be easier,
format.
a lot easier.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll just keep that up. All right. They say you can rent the American dream, but I know hundreds of people who don't want to rent; they want to own. I mean, that's pretty much freaking almost everybody, right?
Yeah, I don't want to rent actually. If I can't own a house.
Of course, you want. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay money to have a freaking roof over your head at all.
And
period.
also, living in a thing. I mean, in our apartment, we couldn't even put a nail on the wall.
Right. Yeah, you can't really.
It's the space that we live in. We spend time. We need to hang stuff up. But
it's the worst of both worlds because on the one hand, they don't want you to damage the apartment at all. But on the other hand, if something breaks, it's such a pain in the ass getting them to fix anything. So anyway, we're preaching to the choir here. I guess that's pretty much the article. You can read more at, New York Times. I'm not even going to share the link because the paywall is so obnoxious. But anyway, I mean, I guess I'll share the freaking link. Where's it at? I can't even scroll. What happens when Wall Street buys most of the homes on your block? And it's just weird. Imagine living in a street and it's everyone around you is being exploited. Okay.
Oh yeah, talking about the.
I'm dying because my apartment has the worst wall color. Is that the one you were going to read?
Yep.
You can't even paint your dang wall.
Can't change it.
And if you could, it's you're spending your money to improve somebody else's property.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
All right. Just lose it 100%.
It looks like a burnt hard-boiled egg. I think I know the exact color you're talking about.
Oh gosh.
All right. Well, listen, folks. Let's get into it now. I will miss you all. This has been very fun. Like Luna and I said earlier in the show, we've been doing this for 5 freaking years, half a decade. We've very rarely missed a week. Very rarely. 5 or 10 times at the most in 5 years running. And it means a lot. It's kind of like an anchor in our week every week. It's something that, it's kind of always there. We always know y'all are going to be here. So taking this hiatus is a little bit.
I miss the schedule a lot, because we already have a program in our head that this Monday morning and Wednesday morning we're busy.
Yeah. So it's a little scary, but we'll be back. We're not going forever. We hope that you'll join us when we come back. We have the mailing list. Please sign up for it. lunaoi.com and non-compete.com/mail if you are so inclined. If you're on Patreon or Camaraderie already, you don't really need to sign up for this unless you decide to leave the Patreon or Camaraderie because it'll all be the same basic stuff that you get in the Patreon and Camaraderie. Of course, if you want to support us on Patreon or Camaraderie, that's very welcome, especially because we won't be getting the revenue from these streams anymore. So we could use your help for that. We are going to be putting out our regular scripted content over at youtube.com/non-compete and youtube.com/LunaOy. We are going to have a book coming out hopefully within the next couple months, the Historical Materialism book.
Yeah.
And yeah, lots more in store. But for now, that's it. I'm very sad to say goodbye. Luna, you got anything else to say?
I would miss you guys a lot. And I hope to get back soon-ish. And hopefully we can work something else out, like a podcast or something. Because it really, I mean, it's been a big part of my life in the last 5 years. Actually, I did not plan to be on BREADCAST at all. It was you who dragged me in. You remember in our like shitty apartment in Hanoi at that time, and you were streaming alone, and I was sitting in a different room or something like that?
Yes. Yeah. Well, so first Luna was in a different room, and then Luna was like, and this was by Luna's choice. She wanted to sit like way in the back, and just her whole job was just to watch the chat and help with chats. So if you watch the old episodes of BREADCAST, Luna would be sitting way in the back
And barely talk.
and she barely said a
I
word.
just only meant as a chat.
And then she just kind of crept up forward until finally she was like more than half the show, I would say now.
Now I see like equally, sharing 50%
have
of
changed a
the
lot.
streams.
Things have changed a
It's
lot.
so funny.
We got a very touching super chat from
Aww, John.
oh Lord have mercy. This is from one of my former employees from back when I was a petty bourgeois
John, I miss you.
business
You need to come
owner,
back.
wannabe capitalist. John said, "Thank you for going into debt to pay my wages, EJ. You're the best boss ever. Love and miss you both." Well,
Aw.
I don't want to. Yeah, I won't editorialize too much. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you, John. Hey, I'm going to be in the USA soon.
Oh,
so
yeah.
let's.
You too.
Of course,
meet
John. You never know where John is, but anyway, let's talk. All right. Well, let's see. Anything else? I'm glad Luna opened up. Yannick says absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, Kai.
Do you have a goodbye song?
Let me think of a goodbye. Good goodbye
Whoa,
song.
all the money that e'er I had, I spent it in good company. And all the harm that e'er I done, alas, it was to none but me.
I don't know the lyrics, so sad.
You don't know the lyrics to the song that I sing all the time?
No.
And since it come unto my part that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call, good night and joy be with you all. All right, good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
When
And
will we be back? We don't know.
my final message to me, if you can afford it, check out Vietnam. It's a great and awesome place to
Yeah.
visit.
Come check out Vietnam. It's great.
The most expensive
Maybe not
part-
during rainy season.
not the central Vietnam rainy season, and the most expensive part would be the flight tickets. That's it.
All right, a little PSA from the Luna Vietnam Tourism Board. Peace. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Peace out.